Hello, Max here. Well, the schooling system is in disarray and people are terrible with money. And I'm not going to be another person, and this is not going to be another video to complain about that. I'm actually going to give you some solutions. Here are 7 money concepts they did not teach you in school that will help you become rich. All right, concept number 1 is debt can be your friend. It's not always your arch nemesis. But I'm talking about only one type of debt, and that is mortgage debt. Let me show you why mortgage debt can help you become very rich over a long period of time. This is not by any means a get-rich scheme, but this is a really important concept. Let's go. All right, so I add up all my expenses, mortgage, principal, interest, property taxes, and my total expenses for everything. I'm going to put mortgage/expenses. That is just under $1,000, but I put $1,000 because it's an easy number. All right, so then I add, obviously, how much the rent is, the monthly rent. And I charge, it's $575 plus $695 plus $650. And that equals $1,925. So mortgage and expenses, all that put together, is about $1,000. Now I'm also including a little bit of maintenance that I'm going to make on the house at some point. So you always want to make sure that's added in because that would really, having those figures is really important. So we take $1,925 and we subtract the $1,000. That's $925 a month. Do that by 12, and that's about $11,000 per year. Okay, so that's good. So you always want to figure out your mortgage, expenses, all that junk. That should be an all-encompassing number. Then you take how much rent you're doing. It's really, it's not rocket science, but finding this kind of deal right now in 2021 is almost impossible, so it may not happen. Now, the good thing is I bought this house in 2015, so that's the reason why I have these numbers. You need to buy in a market that's not extremely overinflated. Now, that's only one side of the story, though. So if you have a really desirable house in a desirable area, even if you buy at a, if the market kind of goes like this and this, even if you buy right there, which is the top of the market, not a very good illustration there, you still can find you can still find this number, the monthly cash flow. That's the really, really important number. Even if you buy here at the top of the market, which a lot of people do, especially in 2021, we're at a very, very extremely high part of the market. Even if you buy at this point, you can still have the monthly cash flow, and that is where the money is. Cash flow. People say cash is king. Cash is king. I disagree. I say cash flow is king. The more cash flow you have, the more you can become the king and own everything. So make sure your expenses are right, make sure the rent is good, and then you can make this profit every single month, and that is what I'm going for. Second concept, saving money is an absolutely horrid and terrible idea. The reason I say saving money is a terrible idea is not because I don't want you to be prepared for an emergency. That's not what I'm talking about. Yes, be prepared. Have a 6-month emergency fund. However much makes you feel good at night, makes it easy to sleep at night. Choose that and definitely keep that. But I'm just saying, saving for the sake of saving is stupidity. Let me show you why. This is inflation. Inflation is what eats up your dollar. So if inflation is 10%, let's make believe, that $100 you have saved in the bank at the end of the year is only worth 90. It still says 100 in your bank account, but the purchasing power has gone down by 10%. That's only $90. So here's the red. We're going to start with red. Red is the official CPI from the United States government. Take it with a grain of salt. It's sometimes not always correct. So right now, it's 2021, and April just came out. It was just over 4%. You probably think, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Well, it was too. It's doubled in just a 1 month period, which is a lot. Now, let's use a different figure, though. The blue line here is the figure how we calculated it in 1990 or so, in the 1990 numbers. So as of right now, inflation is actually really more so 8% if you use that kind of calculation. If you go back to the 80s we were using an even different calculation, As of right now, inflation is probably more so 11.5 or 12%. Now, it obviously depends on which one you believe. The government said they have updated the figures, which whatever the hell that means, but they've updated inflation to match what's actually happening in the 21st century. But I don't know. 8%, 12%, 4%. I mean, those are all numbers I don't like because my money's being eaten up. So saving for the sake of saving is dumb because inflation eats your money, and inflation right now in 2021 is only on the rise. It's not going down. Look at the interest rate that your bank pays you. I'm going to guess it's somewhere below 1%. If inflation is 4% and they're paying you 1%, you're actually going backwards by a net 3% every single year. Not quite the 10% picture I painted a few moments ago, but still, 3% of your money is declining every single year, and that's if inflation stays the same. The reality is right now inflation is on the rise, so again, saving money for the sake of saving is a terrible idea. Number 3 is most college degrees are completely worthless and really expensive. Now, it depends on the job, obviously, but is six figures, $100,000 in debt, worth it? It really, really depends upon the job. I would say mostly it is a terrible investment. Now, if you're going to be an engineer, if you're going to be a doctor, if you're going to be someone who needs a professional designation like an attorney, a doctor, things of that nature, then perhaps college is a good idea. But besides that, I mean, really, I look back on, I'd studied, corporate finance in college with a concentration in insurance. How much do I actually use that in the here and now? Almost zero. I would say less than 5%. College really, really is only for very certain things. And if you're thinking about starting a business or whatever it may be, there are literally so many ways to learn that are not traditional. YouTube, online. I mean, I've learned more from online sources and from YouTube videos than I've ever learned in college. So sometimes you got to really crunch the numbers and figure out if it's actually worth going to college. Number 4, having a high-paying job is really not the end-all be-all and should not be the big goal. The more you earn as an employee, the more you're punished. People who make the highest income bracket, I'm talking about the people who are celebrities and the people who are actually employees, so like sports stars, for instance, they pay almost 50% income tax. That's mind-blowing. Take whatever you make, divide it by 2, that's what you're left with. Now, for more normal people, it's still about 30 to 35%, depending upon your state and where you are. Obviously, living in a no income tax state like Texas or Florida is a really good idea because you can really make those dollars stretch further. Now, I don't know about you, but I hate giving away money to a government that spends it on stupid things, first off, and things that are completely frivolous. Now, what's great about earned income is you have a steady paycheck, whatever that means. So, is it really steady? You have to be the judge of that. Having passive income through real estate specifically means you can pay almost no tax. Now, I say almost none because you still have to pay property taxes, things of that nature. But the actual income tax that you make on your profits can be written off in so many different ways. That's why real estate is where people make the most money and pay the least amount of tax. As soon as I was able to create cash flow, I did. I had to ask myself, is it worth having someone dictate my 9 to 5 the rest of my life? Is it worth someone being able to say you are dismissed at any moment just because they don't like my curly hair, just because they don't like, my job performance, whatever it may be? The beautiful thing about this country is you can hire and fire almost freely. There are some caveats, obviously. But if someone's not up to the task and is not doing the job effectively, you just let them go. Having that insecurity is so much more unenjoyable than having the insecurity of my tenants not paying me rent. Now, those may not happen, but the reality is an employer can lay you off at any moment. The tenant is most likely not going to miss their payment because they want to keep on living where they're living. So again, you have to really, really figure out which one is going to be your pathway forward. I would say passive income is the best pathway forward. All right, number 5 is a budget is for old people. Now, if by old you mean successful and financially literate, then you're on the right path. Because the reality is if you don't have a plan for your money just absolutely disappeared. How many times have you said or heard people say, I don't know, the money just disappeared. Where did it all go? That is completely a victim mindset. You got to make a plan. You do not need to reinvent the wheel, though. I have created a budget template and a completely simple way to go through and create a budget. Please go to maxmymoney.org/financial. Go there and you'll just type in your first name, your email. You will be emailed this template This template makes everything so much more fluid. You'll go through your monthly income, you'll go through all the expenses you have, your auto payment, phone bill, office supplies, if you go to college. There's so many other things here. And here's the meat and potatoes though. The meat and potatoes is right here. Going through the expense tracker, tracking every single expense as they come up and figuring out what actually is happening to the money. Because once you start saying, where did the money go? That's, again, victim mentality. The reality is you do know where the money is going. You just don't want to take into account because you don't like where it's going. You're doing things that you shouldn't be doing. Spending, $5 a day on freaking coffee. $5 a day on coffee, that's $150 a month. That's over $2,000 a year on coffee, not anything else. So you have to really take yourself seriously and look yourself in the mirror and say, do I want to spend $2,000 a year on coffee? If the answer is yes, more power to you. Keep on going. But I'd imagine if you're watching this video, you want to improve your financial status. So you really need to start going through each expense. Making a budget is not lame. It is actually very important because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You will fail. Your finances will not be where you want them to be, and you'll be 40 years old and a bunch of credit card debt wondering, where did the time go? Don't be that person. Be the person who makes a plan. Read financial books, read plenty of articles, and of course, watch a ton of personal finance videos. You don't need to go through corporate media to find this, though. There are so many good teachers. I like YouTube for so many of them. The first one would be Rich Dad, Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki. His big thing is real estate, passive income, royalties, things that you can pay the least amount of tax on because, I don't know about you, but if I can pay lower taxes, I'm all for it. Second would be Patrick Bet-David, or Valuetainment. He has a ton of good things. He actually has a lot of current events like what's happening with the oil prices and what's happening in the rest of the world, a really good global perspective. So I really enjoy both of those guys. Again, that's only two of them. There's probably about 30 others I could talk about. Those two guys I've watched a lot recently, and I've really enjoyed their content. So you don't need to go through corporate media. There are so many alternative avenues, and the reality is the corporate media landscape is going to tell you to get a job, put money into 401k, and work at the same job for 35 years and retire. Well, that's not really how life works anymore. I don't know anybody who's been in a job for that long. And second off, having a job sucks. You want to be able to be the architect of your destiny, not like someone telling you what time you can take lunch. You can take lunch at 1 p.m. and not 1:30. Well, I'm hungry at 1:30. Well, that's a bummer, bucko. Again, read articles, watch videos, and get more informed. The more financial education you have, the more you can upgrade your life financially. And last but not least, no one cares what car you drive. Seriously. The peer pressure of childhood can also bleed into adulthood. I've seen so many people buy a car, yes, the exact same car as their neighbor or their friend because they want to be cool. Who cares about being cool at this point? I really don't care at all. There are so many people around me who have a car to the tune of $650 a month for the car payment, and it makes them feel good. I just seriously don't understand it. I drive a small truck that's really old, almost as old as me, and it's to the tune of $0 a month. It's probably about, the monthly payment they pay is about $650. It's probably about $650 after it's all said and done with my registration fees for the year. It's really does not matter what kind of car you drive, and that goes into other things. Don't let anybody tell you that you need to have this, you gotta have that. Yes, of course, we all have our special things we like. I like watches. Some people like bags. Some people like guitars. People like different things, and that's okay. But don't let anybody tell you you need to buy something when you know you really don't need it. And don't succumb to peer pressure. That's called being an adult. Being an alpha male is saying, I choose what's best for me. Nobody tells me what else to do. All right, so those are my 7 concepts that I did not learn in school, and thank goodness for having people around me who have taught me these things. What concept did I leave off, though? I want you to comment below. Let me know what you guys think. What else did we not learn, unfortunately, in school? I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one.